We have our best offer yet on poodlecfb.com right now until the launch of CFB 26. If you use code LAUNCH with a capital L, you will get $50 off the annual plan. And if you're into the monthly plan, if you use code LAUNCH 2025 capital L, you will get $5 off the monthly plan. Guys, these discounts are recurring. So the beauty of this is if you lock yourself in now, you'll have it for the remainder of CFB 25 and CFB 26 and beyond that. So make sure to sign up right now. Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Poodle back with another CFB video, but today we're hitting up CFB 26. We have the Dynasty Deep Dive and Team Builder Deep Dive. Guys, this is the day we've all been waiting for. This is like Christmas Day for all of us Dynasty players. Everything else is about the game as a whole. This is specifically for us. I'm super excited. Let's get into it. Before we get into the video, guys, though, I did want to do one special just for this video over on poodlecfb.com. This is Christmas Day. Everyone's excited. Everyone's hyped for the game. Let's do something super special for today. This code will only be active for 48 hours from the moment this video drops. This is for all you diehard fans who are dying to get into the Poodle CFB community, get access to the spreadsheets, the boost, the bonuses, everything we got over there, right? If you're looking to get into everything we have, this is a special just for you guys. If you use code Dynasty, you get $65 off the annual plan, capital D, of course. And if you use code Dynasty 2025, capital D, you'll get $7 off the monthly plan. Guys, this is quite literally the biggest and greatest deal you are probably ever going to see on this website. Take advantage of it. Knock this out of the park. Once we get into that new season, we're going to have a different code, but it won't be as great as this one. So lock in now. This is a recurring discount. So if you lock yourself in now, you are locked in for the lifetime of your membership. So locking in at almost half off is honestly amazing because that means you'll get the entire thing half off for as long as you choose to play Dynasty mode and be a part of the community. Come join hundreds of members. It's the best and fastest growing place in the CFB community. You won't want to miss out. Take these 2 weeks to get acclimated. Let's get into it. Guys, I am super excited. There's so much to go through in this. So let's start here, building on the foundation. Build your coach, build your program, deliver the world of football. These aren't specific, so let's keep it moving through. Build your coach. So this is going to be very important. So when creating your coach, it's going to be a little bit different than last year in the sense that obviously the screen looks the same. You could choose a current coach or a custom coach. First and foremost, guys, if you follow my channel, go custom coach. Ignore these built-in head coach unless you're doing like a realistic rebuild type and you want to use the guy and you want to have his playbook and all that. Fine, but go custom coach. What did change when choosing a coach is obviously there's more customization options, but more importantly, at least in my opinion, outside of all these customization options, you may appreciate that. I'm more of a let's play the game kind of guy, but coach progression. So from the beginning of our design intent for the archetype-based abilities and progression has been that a coach can't be great at everything. How you build your coach and manage your staff matters. Your coordinators either complement your strengths or shore up your deficiencies. So last year we saw that players were hitting the level cap too early, so maxing out progression well before the later years of the dynasty, which is not what we wanted. While we still believe you cannot be great at everything, your coaching journey should evolve over time with new decisions. The maximum coach level has been increased from 50 to 100. Guys, it's absolutely huge. Now I will say, as you guys saw in the deep dive, coaching abilities do cost more. So there's two things that I want you guys to understand here. And again, I'm not just reading to you guys. I'm going to break this down and give you some content as we do go through this. So level 50 to 100, abilities cost more. That's fine. I prefer to have all the extra points because as long as you don't buy all the nonsense, and guys, stay tuned. Within the first 48 hours of this game dropping, I'm going to put together my best coach build for you. So be ready for that because I'm going to make sure you don't waste your points on nonsense. 100 levels is a lot because 50 gave us plenty to avoid the nonsense. I assume 100. Let's say there was about 10 levels of you could have bought nonsense. Now maybe you have 20 levels worth of points to buy nonsense with, which you can then use to buy the right stuff with. So higher level, higher abilities. I will say there's a thing here though. If you do get CEO and you get the discount packages, I do see a world where the discounts are even more exponential because you have more levels and you can do more once you unlock CEO. It's my personal opinion. Now what did change, guys, the amount of each XP from each archetype perk now scales by the archetype tier. The elite archetypes, elite recruiter, mass motor, scheme guru, offer double the amount of XP as the 3 base archetypes. Hybrid archetypes offer more than elite archetypes. Program builder CEO can offer upwards of 10 times more XP than a base tier archetype. So in order to quickly and efficiently scale your level and power, it's imperative that you invest in higher level archetypes. So what that means is, as you guys know, we used to use this last year. Look right here where it says archetype perk, big game bonus, 12,500 bonus for playoff wins. So let's say you get to the natty 2 times in a row, first 2 seasons. You're like a level 35 coach and you get CEO. If you can get that active perk as your big game bonus, when you get to the playoffs, every playoff wins 12,500. So if you make another natty run, you're looking at like 40 to 50,000 bonus XP, right? Or 30 depending on the buy. So that's huge. And basically same thing with recruiter. For every recruit you sign, so if you get elite recruiter, you get bigger bonuses. So essentially it's going to be, from my point of view as a strategy, is going to be making sure that you go ahead and get to a elite tier as quickly as possible to quickly scale how much XP you can get, because then it means you can get to level 100 quicker. It also says here that up here, Tactician now offers the highest XP ceiling, but only if you're consistently winning. So it also carries the greatest downside if you're not. So what that means is before it was kind of balanced. Now if you're winning and you have Tactician, which I don't recommend Tactician, but it's a great way to scale your coach up and so on and so forth. So that's very cool. Remember, your staff doesn't just help with abilities. Their archetype perks contribute to your growth as well. So if you're recruiting really well, and let's say you have elite recruiter and you have 2 elite recruiter coordinators, you're going to get crazy XP. Now, what I would say for this is a world where in the first 2 seasons, for me, if you can start with a school that has double elite recruiter like Syracuse did last year, and you can get yourself up there, for recruiting well, you're going to get a crazy amount of XP, and so on and so forth. If you had like triple tactician stack just to go ahead, or just a double tactician stack plus your recruiting head coach to get the extra points if you win a lot, that can help you scale your coach up and you can fire them later. There's going to be a lot of strategy to this. Also, part of this perk rebalance, we also updated several archetype perks. Talent Developer now has Draft Dividends perk, which awards 3,000 XP bonus when your players are drafted. The CEO's archetypes big game bonus now is 12,500. So, as opposed to only national championship wins, which I think is really important because winning a national championship is not easy unless you're in an offline league. Online league could be harder. Now, this is going to be cool to me. Coach archetypes. To start the 3 base archetypes, Recruiter, Motivator, and Tactician now require a minimum coach level to unlock, which is cool because last year you could just start with Recruiter and then instantly go to Motivator. This means that you have to get to at least level 10 to unlock the next one. Now, I do think this probably plays a role in kind of our cheese last year of trying to get the bonuses with each and then going back and forth. This makes it a little bit harder. Also, so it's no longer a quick jump between archetypes. Instead, your coach will grow their identity first. So I think that's kind of counter what we were doing with the cheese of going back and forth. Also, what's important here is that they're scaling archetype cost. So for instance, Recruiter may cost 10. Well, your first one's free, let's say. Motivator may cost 15, and then your third one, Tactician, will cost 30. What this is trying to do is stop people from building, like with that level 100, a very well-rounded build, because yes, you have all the extra points. Let's say it's 1,000 points, 1,000 coach points to spend. If you could just buy them all for 10, you could easily go around. But as you get to like that 6th, 7th, 8th possible thing, maybe you're at 70 to 80 to 100, and now you're going to lose a lot of your points just to unlock. So this is going to make the coach build even more important. Don't unlock 6 of them. We're going to try to narrow down 2, maybe 3 paths we want to go, and we're going to stick to it. This also means that you may want to upgrade certain things first. I was talking over on poodlecfb.com with some guys, and I'll drop this math for you when the game officially does drop. But basically, there's a strategy to the order in which you buy these to actually save 5 points per. And that's going to be very important as well. And also, another thing here is that the archetype you pick actually matters. Because before, you could start with anything basically and just move to where you want to go. But now, with this being the situation, if you want to be recruiting in year 1 and 2, you probably want to go the recruiting route. Because if you plan to buy any of those packages first, you need it. So if I put out a great coach build and you guys want to follow it, and let's say the first set's going to be like 8 recruiting archetypes or perks, make sure you start as recruiter, because level 10 could take you the majority of the season into next season, potentially. And with that being said, you won't be able to touch recruiter at all early on because you'll be locked into motivator or tactician. So make sure you start with the correct one. Put a lot of thought into that for sure. Let's keep moving on down. Program builder and CEO are the exceptions, as broader leadership focused archetypes rather than coaching disciplines are not impacted by scaling costs. So that's important, because I was kind of scared at first that CEO and program builder would scale, and suddenly you'd be at a situation where that's like 100 if you did all the other ones first. So that's really good. The right staff doesn't support your strategy. Let's keep moving on down to some coach abilities. As you guys see, they did rework coach abilities, so don't think you're going to be getting the same exact build and same exact setup as last year. There's pipeline bonuses, which is important, but that's in Talent Developer. So for me, I would kind of prefer that was under recruiting, where you get pipeline bonuses. Now it's going to be under Talent Developer, and so on and so forth. Some things are moved over to CEO, like the extra recruiting points and stuff like that. Extra recruiting points was moved into Deep and Elite Recruiter, and then for CEO, they moved some of the other recruiting stuff up there as well. So they did make a lot of changes, which means our coaching strategy is going to be very, very different. So that's why I keep saying, day one tip, don't start buying packages. That first season, just collect points, in my opinion, and wait till all the videos go live and everyone's ready to actually go through the best coaching builds, and you kind of learn a bit about what works, what doesn't work. Coaching carousel. We introduced this last year, but we've added more polished feedback and quality of life improvements. Now you'll receive notifications when your coordinators accept or decline offers, as well as alerts when one is being poached. Whether they're leaving or jumping ship, you'll be informed. I think that's very important. Last year, you'd kind of just advance. You'd be at work, you'd be waiting to get home. Like, did he go? Did he leave? Where is he? Check your coaching staff. Oh, he's there. We advanced. He's gone. What happened? Or you'd have one for 7 straight seasons, someone else wouldn't, but you could now find out that they've been being poached, and now you can start thinking, okay, the last 2 years, they've been trying to poach him. He hasn't went, but it could happen any day, and you can start mentally preparing to need a new one, which is important. Now we've added 3 program abilities that are actually giving you more control. This is really cool. There's a program builder ability, which I think program builder was a little lackluster last year. I'm happy they're doing this. Forever home. Your coordinators are less likely to leave for another job. Deal sweetener. Coordinators are more likely to accept your offer. And cream up the crop. Increases the caliber of coordinators available for your hire. Super important because last year everyone just had the same few that would just pop up and that was kind of it. I like that some might get worse, some might get better depending on the packages you have. This is really, really cool. They've also rebalanced it so that head coaches at top tier program receive better and more consistent job opportunities. Yes, correct. I hated it when I was the coach of Alabama or LSU and I'd get to the end of the season and I'd be getting an offer from a 1-star school because that was very dumb and that was my only offer. I'm glad they fixed that. You can also view each coach's previous role, their school, their new role, destination, and the reason for their job change, which is definitely super cool. And they made it just simpler to kind of view as a whole. Trophy room, I'm not going to go through too much of this because as you guys know, we've known this was coming for a bit. But yes, a trophy room is coming. You'll be able to see all your trophies. It will be like a kind of completionist type thing for you guys who love to play games and complete them. Just collecting all the trophies you can. I think that's definitely super important. Build your program. They've made quite a lot of changes to some of the core goals and what they've done. The transfer portal is a huge one. So last year, as we know, the transfer portal was kind of lackluster. You get a lot of 2 stars, 1 stars, 3 stars, the occasional 4 and 5. Very rare. You weren't kind of sure why they went. It would mainly be CPU teams that weren't playing or people who went on vacation. But now you can see a consistent pool of around 2,000 players joining. It's more unpredictable. You won't be sure when things happen. As part of this rebalance, we also changed how we assign star ratings to transfer products. Super important. They were assigned their star rating based on overall. Now their star ratings more influenced by a player's position and class year. For example, an 85 overall freshman quarterback will be scored higher than an 85 overall senior guard. Correct. Because it was quite annoying to see let's say an 80 overall freshman in the transfer portal, except he was rated as like a 4-star or 3-star versus that would be like a 5-star in my mind. So yes, that is very important. If a guy's an 84 overall but he's a senior, he should be lower in stars than a freshman who's an 84 overall, and so on and so forth. So that's important. It's also not just a mechanic, it's a philosophical choice. Do you build for the future or lean into immediate impact veterans? Programs like Colorado lean more heavier into the portal, flipping their rosters in single off seasons. So this is really cool. This applies to retaining your roster. I like all of this, and more importantly, what I like is that it's going to be more unpredictable. With some of the deal breaker stuff, as you're going to see below, and some other things, it also said that people can just leave on their own. Even if the deal breaker, like it could just be like, I want more playing time. There's other things that just pop up where they just become more eager to leave and transfer, and that's going to make it a lot cooler. I want to see Jeremiah Smith. I want to see Archie Manning. I want to see these guys, Lagway, hit the portal because they want more playing time or because they're becoming a diva. I think that's really cool. At the heart of the transfer portal is a simple truth. Every player's expectations, and when those expectations aren't met, they may decide to leave. Some players have something you don't agree with, some do, but that doesn't change the reality. This is cool. We also refined, well, let's go back up here actually. Conference prestige has also been added as a deal breaker, reflecting the mindset of players who value competing the best conference against toughest competition. I think that's important because I heard a lot of people say last year, oh, being an SET team was an advantage because of your pipeline and your prestige. Not exactly. The players weren't smart enough to know, like, I want to go to the SEC over somewhere else, and that wasn't a deal breaker. I would like to see a 5-star quarterback be like, I'm only playing in the SEC. I'm only playing for top-tier programs. I think that's definitely very cool and a little bit more realistic whether or not you like that change. Also, we've reevaluated the playing time deal breaker to be evaluated. And players with the playing time deal breaker evaluated were based on their depth chart over the next 4 years. This helps stimulate situations where a returning starter could see a highly rated freshman coming in and lose their job, but it missed an important piece. Cases where a lower rated player was actually logging significant snaps, even if that player was contributing week after week. The system saw them buried in the depth chart based purely on overall rating. In 26, playing time now factors into snaps played. Guys, this is so huge. I cannot tell you enough how bothered I was by this. I thought it was going to be a situation where, let's say, because this allowed you to over-recruit. Let's say you over-recruited quarterbacks. You had like 4 5-star quarterbacks on the roster. I wanted to see my freshman diva quarterback, and let's say I had a senior that was like 88. He's solid. He gets the job done. He's better than the freshman, but the freshman has so much potential. I wanted to see a freshman be a diva and say, I expect to play like 8 games. I expect to log significant snaps. If I don't, I'm leaving. Then you have to decide between, do you get the best guy in this season, or do you somewhat maybe sacrifice the season for the idea of keeping that guy with potential over 4 or 5 years? I think this adds so much more story like lines to it, and more ways of how you have to play your team each week, and it makes you think each week. I hate when I'm going through the motions like recruit. All right, that's done. Time to play the game. I don't see recruiting against the end of the year. I want to see things going on all the time. Even if playing time isn't a player's official deal breaker, it can still be a deciding factor in whether or not they stay. This is especially true for former 5-star recruits, high-rated backups, and most notably quarterbacks, and so on and so forth. This is going to be super, super cool. This also prevents your friends in online Dynasty from being a cheese artist and redshirting every player on their roster when a guy is a borderline starter. Now redshirting comes with the risk. You want to redshirt a player and limit his playing time at the risk of him leaving in the offseason due to lack of playing time. This is super cool. Also, this helps prevent stockpiling talent in a way that doesn't reflect real life behavior. Yes, last year, what was our meta, guys, over on poodlecfb.com and over on our channel? It was build my ideal coach build, bring in 15 to 25 stars. Then you have this insane pipeline of just absolute, like, AI robot monsters coming in every single year, just year after year, monsters at each position. Definitely super cool. Also, deal breakers had a fixed grade requirement of B-, and that threshold never changed regardless of how good a player got. Now it evolves and changes based on the player. As players become more talented and productive, their expectations grow alongside them. It makes it difficult for some schools to meet those demands and organically transferring big fish, small pond. What this is going to basically mean is that, let's say I would use Marshall, for example. Excuse me, Marshall, if you ever have seen this. Marshall is a bad school, right, in this game. Low school. Let's say they somehow recruit a 5-star quarterback, and he's only 78 overall. By year 2, when he's an 84, 85 overall, and he starts to evolve, he becomes a diva, basically. He's like, I want to play in the SEC, or I want more playing time, which shouldn't be a problem. But more importantly, maybe their pro potential went from, hey, I didn't think I'd be an NFL player, now it's an A+, and now they got to go to a top-tier school to get that. That's going to be super cool. Breakout stars of smaller programs want to see a bigger stage. The required grade now scales based on their overall high school rating and transfer portal star rating. The better the player, the better the expectations. I think that is super cool and going to something that plays a huge role in this game. For instance, right here it says you have A+, need B+, then it goes up to A-. So if you're a smaller school and it goes up from like a C to an A over time, they're going to leave your school. So now that means a few things. First, you have to get in your bigger. First off, small schools provide a bigger risk in the sense that you can't just have a great coach, bring in a lot of talent, and build it quickly. You have to actually factor the scale in the fact that if your school doesn't scale at the same rate as your players and you're underperforming, you won't grow. And also that means another perspective here is if you're not a great player, you don't win a lot of games, so it's harder for you to build up schools. You may not want to start with a small school because you may never get the scale you need to keep the players. You can be a great recruiter and a great builder, but if you're not a great program builder by winning games and making it far, you may be in a situation where you can't keep up with the scale of your players growing up, and that's going to be a problem. They do have the gift of gab, roster retainer, and full refund. These are some of the abilities they basically had last year, so I'm not overly concerned about that there. Transfer portal customization. With dynamic deal breakers and conference prestige deal breaker and improved playing time logic, it's more reactive and more predictable. While this does bring chaos, we want to give you the tools to correct it. So that is kind of cool for people who are in an offline league and just want to sim through and they don't like how random and creative it is or crazy it is. Max transfers per team. You can make it so, let's just say, you said it's a 0. This disables the portal entirely, which is, I guess, cool. If you want to play like old school, which I think a lot of people may say, like, I hate this, I don't want to be a part of this. You can make it 30, which means you could lose a whole roster. But if you want to play it safe, you can make it so only like 3 to 5 players can leave. That way, no team could ever get like decimated. I had a season where I went on a cruise in my online Dynasty, and basically I left for like a week or two. When I came back, my entire team was on the portal. I had a 5-star LSU program. I'd been to like 4 or 5 natties. Didn't win them, but I went to them. I won a lot of playoff games. And basically my entire team left, which is very stupid. I should not lose an entire few seasons of recruiting based on one bad season. So you can scale it that way so you don't lose a whole team and possibly hurt your league. Transfer possibility, you could bring the transfer possibility down for CPU or user teams, which I think is actually really cool, especially in case like this is like a failsafe for EA. Let's say they think they coded it perfectly, but they're testing it amongst their people. Once you have millions of people playing and you start to notice like, okay, this is a little too chaotic, you can kind of scale it back yourself, which is so cool. Sorry, I read my school. My school, these are your 14 grades and all that, so on and so forth. In addition to playing time, improvements were outlined earlier, which now consider actual snaps played. We made several key updates to my school to deepen realism, improve differentiation, and between the programs. First, we rebalanced the grade curve across all 14 categories. Fewer teams now sit in the A or B range, meaning most schools will fall somewhere between D and C, creating more separations between what you have and what you don't have. Something more meaningful. I think that matters because I saw 2-star schools who won a few seasons and everything just skyrocketed to A. And that's just not the case. Some schools just can't ever have an A that quickly. One of the biggest comes to pro potential. Previously, this was graded on your ability to produce NFL talent based on your roster. Now, pro potential is based on the historical draft results over the last 4 seasons, track by position. That is so cool. This means you can now clearly see which schools are sending talent to the next level. I hated the fact that having 85 to 90 overall, 95 overalls, 90 overalls, 99 overalls basically just meant you had a high grade. Yes, I do want to see that I sent 15 people to the draft last year because I'm recruiting really high level talent and they're getting up to their ceiling pretty high, and someone else only sending in 6 and I'm getting people into the league more. I think that's super cool. We made improvements to playing style. The stat-driven grades tied out to your team performance in the field. Every archetype, including the new ones added in CFP 26, has had its playing style tracking reevaluated. Many defensive player types were overly reliant on stats like interceptions or tackles for loss, often leading to small sample. This year, more player types, especially on defense, evaluate team level stats like average yards allowed, rushing yards allowed. This allows for a more stable, fair reflection of how your program actually plays. I think that's super cool as well. Location-based recruiting. It's easier and cheaper to get a player to campus when they live nearby. Driving 100 miles is a very different challenge than flying across the country. The higher recruits' proximity to home grade with your school, the cheaper it will be to bring them in for a visit. Costs can range from as low as 10 to as high as 40 for cross-country visits. That's a significant swing and one that you need to focus on. Every visit cost a flat 40 hours last year, which made it prohibitive to bring a bunch of recruits in, especially if you run a limited budget. Now they're more efficient for local players, but flying in a top recruit across country comes at a premium. To help maximize your visits, your CEO archetype now includes a new ability, More the Merrier. This ability doubles the number of players who can visit your campus in a single week. So this is huge. This is huge, guys, because I told you my strategy already. 40 points is a lot for a visit. If you do your board like 70-85 split on a lot of local recruits, especially if you're like in an LSU type area, you can do 10% visit or 10-point visits. Now the cool thing here and the bad thing is, first off, you can basically leave a visit to the majority of your board. The bad thing is you can only do 4 per week, which is going to be very tough, especially when people get really good at this, because most visits will be over by weeks 2, 3, and 4, and they're going to be committing. So getting that CR type means that maybe you could do 6, 7, 8 visits in a week, and now, right there, cap from 4 to 8 total visitors. So this flexibility means you can do a lot more during critical stretches, like week C. If you get a week 3 home game or a week 3 bye week, and you want to capitalize, you can do 8 visits that week and close on 8 different recruits. That is absolutely huge. And if you're running a staff with a coordinator who's archetype strategist, the benefits can stack further. The strategist perk grants bonus XP for every recruit who visits during a win. So if you're hosting a full slate of 8 visitors, you have the potential to significantly boost your coach XP across the board. So much new and cool stuff can be done here, which I'm very excited about. Discovering the next star. Scouting is a critical part of identifying which players fit your program and which recruits you want to go after. Coaches often refer to this as finding their OKGs, our kind of guys in college football. We made key improvements to the system. First, we reordered how attributes are displayed during scouting, ensuring that shared ratings across archetypes appear in a consistent order for every position. In College Football 25, this made comparing prospects a little bit difficult at the same positions. Now, when comparing 2 top players regardless of archetype, you'll see the shared attributes lined up the same way, making comparisons easier. Second, we've expanded the power of mind reader ability within the strategist archetype. Previously, it only revealed a trait after a visit, which often came too late. Correct. That was so annoying. By the time it's week 3 and I do my visit, they're likely committing that week. So I was like, cool, we advanced. I found out what his trait was. He accepted anyways. Now you can kind of pass on a player based on what you see. This gives you a critical head start. You'll be able to reveal their dev trait directly through scouting, which gives you a head start. So let's say you do the scout and the mind reader trait works. Right here, just pop up in the scout page. Huge, because I can see, oh, impact quarterback, star quarterback, elite quarterback. Okay, I'm dropping the impact. I'll go after the stars, my backup, and the elite is my main one. Recruiting battles. In College Football 25, there were moments where 2 schools were locked in a close recruiting battle, and it wasn't always clear why one team ultimately won, and it felt a little random at times, which is why I told you guys I had my after 100% evaluation where I think it went beyond, probably what they're referring to. Now when a school reaches the commitment threshold and others right behind them, a recruiting battle is triggered. The recruit won't commit right away. Instead, they will set a new higher commitment threshold, giving both schools a short window to make one final push. It's not a long extension, just enough to create a true head-to-head finish. From that point on, it becomes a race, whichever school reaches the new commitment threshold first. This is when you pull out all the stops, the dead sprint to the finish line, do everything you can. Guys, so important. Let me give you a few scenarios. Look right here where you're close. I hated this. When you saw that and that week would advance, one person wins it. Who won it? Likely the guy who was gaining on you. But now the guy in first doesn't lose it. Where this becomes more interesting is with visits. Let's say Arkansas was this close to commitment, like that close, right? Like you see now. Let's say LSU was maybe like a tick or 2 back, like 3 inches backwards on that, or 3 big gaps back. But they had a visit for this week. We'd advance and LSU would win. And I'd say, well, that's stupid because I was outpacing them the whole time. The reason I had that lead was because all of my recruiting points were outbeating them, but their visit would give them like that boost over the 100% line just enough to win it, which I never liked because it felt like it was tie went to the visit, basically. Tie one goes to the runner, tie went to the visit. This means, okay, fine. You had the visit. You basically hit the OT buzz. You hit the game buzzer beater at the end of the 4th quarter in the NBA, and you went to OT. The better team can still win. So now we go into an overtime. But as Arkansas, let's say, I was already outgaining him per week. So in overtime, I could just beat him, which I do like because this prevents you from losing. Like you lost some stupid recruits last year, like a 5-star you had the entire way. And the other guy just had a home game that you didn't have it that week, and they get a visit on you that just barely notches you out. Now, if you have better recruiting packages or you have a better strategy, you could probably still get them. Recruit generation. We increased the number of recruits generated to 4,100, providing a deeper and more varied pool. I like that, so we're not all fighting over the same guys. I want there to be more gems and things you can find. They've rebalanced several aspects, including abilities, as well as individual ratings. You'll still be able to find players with high level attributes and silver or gold tier abilities, these kinds of elites prospects and transfer a program, but there'll be fewer of them overall. I did think that too many people had abilities at one point. I kind of do want to find like one with just like a sneaky good ability or sneaky good stats. Not everyone kind of coming in like the same cookie cutter builds. When it comes to athletes, we reduced both the quality of top end athletes and the quantity. That means it's going to be rare to find truly elite prospects, but when you do, it'll feel special, and landing them will be a major win in a recruiting class, which I think is definitely super cool. To sway or not to sway. Sway is one of the most powerful tools in your arsenal, but it's one of the most misunderstood. In CFP 26, we made several improvements to make this more actionable and easier to take advantage of when it doesn't fully align. Sway is designed for moments when your school grades don't match up with a prospect's pitch or you want to expand. A successful sway allows you to add a second ideal pitch. This year, when you select sway action, you'll now see a probability of success before making your move, giving you much more clarity. I prefer this. I hated the fact that I couldn't see this last year. It was kind of like, okay, did it work? Nope, now we lost the guy. So I definitely think changing up sway here, seeing the percentage and understanding how to use it definitely helps, especially for the small school. Once successfully, you see indicators in the left recruiting board list to show that specific motivations the recruit now cares about. Definitely super important. Recruiting quality of life. We know how important it is to have the right tools. In CFP 26, we made a number of quality of life improvements across the entire recruiting experience, helping you spend less time digging through menus. In CFP 25, team needs was only accessible by pressing R3. As we know, in CFP 26, we brought team needs front and center. So when you're recruiting, you see them right here. That was so important. I hated going to another screen. And more importantly, on top of this, you now can see you see your deal breakers. You'll see players profiles. You'll see dev traits on there on your roster. They made a lot of quality of life upgrades. In the board, you'll now see up and down arrows on the left-hand side to recruit's name. These arrows indicate whether you moved up or down the recruiter's list compared to the other ones that are trending in your favor, which might require a shift in strategy or signal that a recruit dynamic has changed week over week. Once the recruiters enter the pitch stage and narrow their schools to 5, a red dot will appear during the first week to let you know that the recruiting actions are available. Also cool. I hated going over them having to check, making it easier to spot which players are closest to committing and which may require more focus. I used to hate when I went through, I'd be like in the gym in the morning on remote play trying to do my recruits before work, and I'd be going through, I'd be like checking, and then I'd end up missing one guy and missing a guy's week to apply a hard sell. And I used to hate that. This red dot means, okay, these are the players that something changed on. You can go into that. Super cool. It was super easy to lose track, as they say. This is definitely going to go a long way. See the red dots right there. You'll be able to actually see big changes that are being made. Finally, we added a set of advanced search filters, max star rating, which could be cool if you're a smaller school or you're just looking for some 3-star gems, minimum pipeline level if you're looking for those local visit guys, and recruiting stage, definitely important as well. Player progression. As you guys know, they've rebalanced and expanded how player progression works to more differentiation, realism, and separation between programs. So that's pretty cool to me as well. You can buy your own upgrades now. I think that's super important versus having to kind of randomly go ahead. I thought random was fun, but you could definitely buy them now, which is cool. And this makes it a little bit more fun for some players. Living in Iron Paradise. Players go long stretches without production or progression, only to get a suddenly huge leap when they finally level up a skill group. In CFP 26, we increased the number of skill group levels from 10 to 20, allowing for more gradual. So basically, you know how it was. You'd be at a skill group that was 12 points, and your player would keep spending it on like little small stuff. Now there's going to be like a bunch of groups that are much cheaper because they're going to have way more levels. So they might upgrade speed, throwing, and throw power instead of just speed in one shot because it was 12 for a whole bunch, and then they'd fly up an overall. This means that you'll see more like 80, 81, 82, 83 instead of 80 to 88 in one shot. A player's development trait also plays a bigger role in off-season progression. While there's still variability in how much they upgrade, Impact, Star, Elite all have a higher amount of that they will progress. This increases the likelihood of better players developing better when they have better traits. That's huge, guys. Nothing was worse. Obviously, skill caps played a role, but nothing was worse than seeing your normal or Impact guy go up to like an 87, but your Elite guys being stuck at an 80 and never upgrading. I do appreciate that this has a correlation because last year it was a big confusion, and it took us quite a while for us to kind of like get our heads across how this worked. Also, now when players hit the Iron Paradise, when players arrive on campus, they undergo significant changes, which is a big question. When they hit the Iron Paradise and put the work in the offseason, you'll see how there's physical changes to their body. Players will now grow weight during offseason progression. The amount of weight they gain is influenced by their player position and year in school. So that's actually really cool. Like a senior defensive end may get bigger, may get taller. A lot of you guys really cared about that, and I like that because let's say you find an 89 speed athletic beast end or guard or something that's really athletic but they're skinny and a little small. They may grow into that near the end of the year or the end of their school year of senior year, junior year, right? Or a wide receiver who might be like 97 speed, 6 feet, may end up actually keeping that speed and going up to like 6'3" by their senior year, which could be super cool. The higher your athletic facility grades is, the bigger your player progression boost will be. That's actually super cool. Your athletic facilities grade in my school now increase the amount of progression your players receive. No different than the real world. That's kind of crazy, guys. That does mean that if you want a good progression program, you're going to need better athletic facilities. If I'm not mistaken, that's one of those ones that took a little bit to grow up. So definitely interesting. Physical abilities, as described in the deep dive, will now have new physical and mental abilities. You guys saw a lot of this in the deep dive, so I won't spend too much time on it. But previously, all physical abilities required a single attribute level to unlock. For example, 95 toughness for Platinum Workhorse. Now some abilities like Shifty require 2 things, like 97 change of direction and 97 acceleration for wide receiver. I like that change of quality of life there, because it does actually make it a little different than strictly needing one thing, or getting like having really bad excel and speed but having high COD and being a shifty monster. This makes it a little bit harder for players to get certain things. We also completely overhauled the archetype system, introducing new player types and player combinations that reflect more diversity, from impact player to star. Player performance during the season now plays a huge role in their long-term potential. If a player absolutely cooks during the season, they can now upgrade their development trait during off-season progression. Performance is determined by their season stat line relative to their position. Guys, it's huge in Madden or a lot of other games. I have a Heisman season with a guy, I have an MVP season, all-star season. My player goes up. Dev trait, XP, all the above, so be it, right? In last year's game, you could have a Heisman season, and your player could jump or not jump, but it wasn't definitive, which meant that you didn't have to focus. I like this because in a lot of leagues, you have players who are on the lower end of the skill level, let's say, getting crazy upgrades for absolutely no reason, and guys who had like insane season that put a lot of effort into scoring like 50, 60, 70 points don't get those upgrades. I think that's super, super important that this does give some kind of skill gap there, so that way you can actually have some more focus. I actually enjoyed that. I enjoy subbing in my freshman wide receiver and getting him 2K yards because I want to get him a huge jump because he's elite with high skill caps, versus last year where I just played best available because I knew they were going to get all random progression. So upgrading the dev trait's not guaranteed. The better player's current trait is, the harder it becomes to move up. So going from star to elite is much harder than going from normal to impact. You can increase the odds of increasing the development trait by purchasing the gains getter ability with CEO archetype. So CEO, guys, has kind of become pretty OP. CEO does have a lot, and if you get a dev trait upgrade, you'll receive a notification like this, which is super cool. It'll be a kind of cool, fun notification to get. Training results. This screen has undergone a major overhaul to give you a better visibility. Oh my god, this is awesome. For each player, you can see exactly how much each attribute increased. Additionally, the player module on the right hand side displays weight gains, height, whatever else, right? Their development trait. Huge. I used to hate playing the guessing game, like, was that guy always 97 speed? Maybe he went up. And then I get excited, then look back and like, no, that's the same. Love this. This is the best thing that I've seen probably on this list so far. I could see their dev trait if it went up. I could see their weight. This is going to be such a fun screen. A lot of you online leagues, keep this open for a few hours. People are going to love seeing this. Manual progression, as I mentioned before. If you're looking for more direct control, you can now enable manual progression in your league settings. You can also turn it off. So if you like the randomness and you like that it's more sim, and you don't want people building like demigod monsters, 99 speed, 99 strength, this could be the way to go. If you do enable it, your players will earn skill points like normal. However, they will never automatically spend them. You can also see how many skill points each player has accumulated in their module, which is really cool. To manually progress, you go to their player card, basically the same as last year, except instead of looking at it, you can now click on it. You can hold triangle, and you'll be able to click on it. You can also then automatically progress your roster by holding triangle. So let's say you have no time for this and the league has it on. You can hold triangle, and you could just, or an Xbox, right, Y, you can just hold it and upgrade the entire team. Otherwise, you can go into individual players and hold X. Manual progression offers a significant advantage in shaping your player, because think about it this way. While there is a 25% progression nerf on default, you can make that higher or lower. Think about it this way. Yeah, you might be losing 25% progression nerf, but if you had a player who accrued 100 skill points and they would spend 80 of it on garbage, like you remember, like they would spend it on like IQ or power at wide receiver and you absolutely didn't want it. Now, fine, I'll take that 25% nerf, but I'm going to spend it all on quickness and hands and route running and make this guy absolutely a monster. Also, I have a running back, 99 speed. He has 93 COD. He needs one more to get the shifty I want. Now I can just save my points right away, get shifty in his freshman year versus waiting till senior year when he finally upgrades his highest skill cap. Definitely cool. And the way the nerf works basically is you can increase it or lower it depending on how much you want to nerf this. So for instance, you're in a league of some cheesy guys, some casual guys, some sim guys. You can put that on like 50. That way the cheeseheads can go ahead and upgrade their guys manually. But it's going to take them forever to make their speed demon monsters. Or the guys who do it automatically just get crazier upgrades as a whole. Your choice. Position changes are also a key part of building and evolving your roster in Dynasty mode, but transitioning to a new role isn't always seamless. When a player moves to a new role, they must learn a new position and skill set that may not directly translate. So to better reflect position changes, we now only retain abilities that are shared between their archetypes. So that's interesting. Their skill group caps are also adjusted based on how close to the new position relates to the original one. For example, shifting a running back to wide receiver results in a smaller drop in positions and development ceiling than if they were going to offensive tackle. The steeper the learning curve, which really limits their natural ability and potential. As you evaluate changing a player's position, the module on the right screen will display a preview of which abilities they'll retain. The player's development tree will stay the same, ensuring consistent growth. So that's cool. Last year we played the guessing game. I assume a lot of this is to break down the whole re-rolling issue too. Last year we played the guessing game. Where would they go? Now you'll see what they have now versus what they'll have if they did it, which is super cool. Also can be a little cheesy because you see what they get. But I think this is nice, so you don't just move a power back to like defensive lineman and get an elite speed D-end or linebacker. It's going to be a much lower overall, much higher learning curve. I do appreciate these changes. Managing wear and tear, I'm not going to go through all of this because we did talk about it last time. Every player has a season and career health pools that determine how much wear and tear they can recover in a single season. And over the course of their career, each player recovers wear and tear damage. It draws from these pools. Once their health pool is depleted, that player can no longer recover wear and tear damage until the offseason when they fully recover. So interesting. If this guy's just about maxed out, you give a running back 300 carries, just about maxed out, playoffs hasn't started yet, you may want to be careful because then you may not have him for the playoffs and he won't be the same way the rest of the season. How does season health change season to season? At the end of the season, the pool replenishes. However, the size of the pool is determined by how full it was at the end of the season. For example, a player finishes with their health nearly empty will begin next season with a significantly smaller health pool. This reflects physical wear and tear over the season. Conversely, a player who finished with a pool that is almost full to begin the year with almost identical pool size. You'll be able to see the impacts of a player's season health on their career health bar over the course of the season. If you're having to manage a player's career clock, how heavily a player is used from year to year will significantly impact the longevity. So guys, you have a running back who you know is going to be drafted by like sophomore, junior year. 93 overall, sophomore year, you know he's going to be drafted. Kill him. Run him into the ground. Kill that running back. Fine. If you have a player who's like an 84 overall going into sophomore year and you think they're going to last senior year and their health pool is already at half, you may want to slow it down. This includes using the auto sub strategy. Keep it fresh, normal, grind it out, custom. Mess around with these settings is going to allow you to make it so you can keep every player fresh. That's likely what I'll utilize a lot, except for maybe like the national championship, but that's what you're going to want to utilize during the season to ensure that doesn't happen. And I think that's definitely super important. A lot of custom settings. I know you guys can just read through this later. I'm not going to go too deep on that. Part of college football history. There's a history tab. History tab, super cool. You're in a league that's been going for 15, 20 years on a Dynasty. You can now go back and see the national championship, conference championship, player awards, kind of like Madden. Super cool. Not going to break down too much there. You can see statistics for a player. Definitely super cool. If you have a quarterback with bragging rights that won like a bunch of stuff, I think that's definitely something that you want to look into. Numbers don't lie. Tie goes to the runner. It will be difficult to understand how conference tiebreakers are resolved. This year we made it a priority to bring clarity and transparency. Thank God. The updated logic is designed to better align with how real-world conferences settle their standings. So there's tiebreaker logic. First off, we look at head-to-head record between teams. If teams didn't play each other, we check the team's record against conference opponents. If they're still tied, we use CFP ranks to determine placement. So, again, not going to break this all down. Sit here in your free time and go through it, but these are the tiebreakers. Going to be super important to copy and paste these, bookmark this, and go back to this whenever you're in a tight race. I hated last year where it was like crossing your fingers in advance. You guys know that feeling like, all right, I've been 11 all year, and I'm 13 out of the playoffs. How did that happen? Super cool. You see some random guy jump you from like 17. Definitely super cool to see how this is going to work, how tiebreakers work, and getting some actual logic behind it, at least in front of your face. Stat padding. We added deeper stat tracking for players, career stats, all of that. So quarterback's touchdown percentage, all this stuff will be there. Not going to read this to you one by one. Basically, you can see everything. Fumble rate. I think this is so cool to have advanced analytics. When I was bored in Madden, what I used to always do is I would sit there for hours on like an off week where I didn't have a game, and I would just sit there and read all the stats. Percentages, team stats, so much fun to do each year. See how you're doing. I definitely appreciate that. New positions and archetypes. They added gadget, trick play specialist, nose tackle. For a real football guy, a guy who cares about that stuff, and a guy who likes to really strategize, that is such an awesome thing. I know people are hyped about that. They've also added 59 archetypes to address this, because obviously, if you're going to play a gadget player, you want someone specific there. Speedster, route artist, physical route runner, elusive route runner, gritty possession, gadget receiver. I love this. I love the fact that if you want like a Julian Edelman type, like an elusive route runner, he may not be the fastest, but he's gritty, he's shifty, yak. If you want a speedster, like a John Ross type who can't do anything else, but he can just run straight. I love that you can get very specific guys and have to like try to see what you can get. Formation subs we've talked about in plenty of videos, not going to go through that. Custom conferences, protected opponents. Protected opponents is so cool because this allows certain opponents to just be protected. You're not going to have to worry about ruining a matchup, giving you the ability to lock in annual matchups regardless. So for instance, Michigan plays Ohio State every year. If you put Michigan in the SEC because you're balancing users, the Michigan guy's not that great, and you want to have some more balanced users over in the SEC or whatever, where he is really good and you want to move him over to our conference, you still get that game. Because I know a lot of people in our league complained about the fact, like, hey, I know that you're trying to balance conferences, but like Michigan State or Michigan always plays Ohio State. Don't ruin that matchup. It's not realistic. Definitely cool for people who really, really, really are so deeply inclined to keep it realistic. Whether you're building a super conference or from scratch, rivalries define college football, protected opponents, so cool. Scheduling updates, all future games, kickoff, all of that will be updated and reflect real life. Super cool. Trying to speed through this, guys, a little bit here because this is very long at this point. College football playoffs. Let's see, quality of life changes. Quick access to player info. Anytime a player appears in the spreadsheet, you can now press Y or triangle to view their player card. Let's see. Player stats and attributes everywhere. You can see just about everything. Now anywhere a player appears in the spreadsheet, you'll be able to see their season stats. I do love that you can see that now. I used to love, I love hovering through this stuff when I'm bored or trying to kill some time. And it really sucked not being able to see everything in one place, especially when trying to compare players. Like, wait, was that the guy that I really liked on defense? I don't remember him. Oh, he subbed it. He did pretty well in his limited minutes. Development traits you can see now. Quick access to team schedules, members tab, adding, removing players, autopilot, promoting, demoting, transferring ownership, everything all in one simple place. Things have become a lot more efficient, which I think is a lot of quality of life upgrades. Crossplay. It now supports crossplay. We know this. Not going to talk too much about this. You can turn it off, but again, great bonus. Everything people want to talk about. Everything I've been being asked. Pre-order bonus. To give players a head start on building their program, all pre-orders of College Football 26 will receive a bonus of 100 coach points when you start a Dynasty. This applies to every Dynasty you start, in addition to an additional 1,000 college points you can earn over time, giving you an early edge when shaping your coaching identity. So you get 1,000 in each level. Basically, it is a free 10 levels. If I'm reading this correctly, 1,000 for 100 levels, and every time you start, you get an extra 100. So that's like level 110. Basically, the pre-order is a must grab. If you don't pre-order the game, you basically are hurting yourself in the long run. Guys, I know that every league doesn't want to start with these bonuses. Commissioners can turn this off, so keep that in mind too. But that is super cool. Guys, you have to pre-order the game. If your league's going to allow this, you have to pre-order the game. I assume a lot of leagues may turn it off, but definitely super cool. Going to avoid all of this. We've talked a lot about all this stuff. Advanced week confirmation, sim points, all of that. Team builder. I'm not a big team builder guy. For all you team builders, go ahead and read this. I just want to go through all of our specific Dynasty stuff. And that seems like we're nearing the end here as we get through team builder. Wow. Guys, this was a mouthful. Enjoy reading the team builder. Enjoy all of that. This was a lot. This was a huge Dynasty. Probably the longest video I put on my Dynasty career portion here. Hope you guys watch it thoroughly. Don't forget, guys, if you head on over to poodlecfb.com, use code Dynasty or Dynasty 2025 for the best deal of the year. That code will be live right when you see this video, so make sure to go use it. You won't want to miss it. Link will be down below in the description and the bio. Sorry for this video being so long. Sorry if I talked really fast. There was a lot to go. If you have any questions, I have this all in my brain. I'm going to read it a few more times. Any questions, comment them down below, and I will get back to you as soon as possible, and I will break this down to as simplest terms as possible. Expect videos over the next few days going over a few of these things. But guys, that's about it. Thank you for watching. I'm out. Peace.